The following programming is sponsored by Mark J. Bernstein. The views expressed do not necessarily reflect the views of this station, its management, or Beasley Media Group. Entrepreneur, author, and financial consultant Mark Bernstein helps high-performing entrepreneurial business owners create a vision for the future and follow through on their goals and intentions. Ange Honorato is a business growth strategist who blends psychology and business together to create conscious leaders and business owners who impact the world. Founders Forum is a radio show podcast sharing the real stories behind entrepreneurship as founders discover more about themselves while providing valuable lessons and some fun and entertainment for you. Now, here's Mark and Ange.
Good morning, America. How are you? I had a little blip there. We cut in before the commercial. Anyway, we're live on the radio on WWDB AM 860 in Philadelphia. But you're most likely listening to us on our podcast, which is available on all streaming services. It's a beautiful day today in sunny Philadelphia. It's not always sunny in Philadelphia, but today it is. How are you today, Ange?
I am well, and I think it has to be sunny in Philadelphia, or we're going against the grain. But it's definitely a beautiful day today.
So I'm thinking about something. As we came into the radio station today, I noticed that the parking lot is getting really crowded. And I was talking to TJ. In fact, TJ, you may want to join us for this conversation a little bit. And TJ is our engineer, producer, wonderkind, whatever. He does everything for us. It's great. So it's getting more crowded and more in office buildings, and in Center City, Philadelphia, and other places, you start to see more and more cars. And, we went from the pandemic to where people are getting back to work. Quick story, I was at a Passover Seder last night, and one of my nephews was there, who's an attorney, who was working for a very large law firm and getting paid a lot of money right out of law school. And he didn't really want that kind of lifestyle, so he went to in-house counsel at a law firm. And he's telling me about a compatriot of his who decided that after being in and out of the firm, he also went out as general counsel and came back in, that it wasn't the lifestyle for him. And he's talking to it's the first time I've heard of it, but a national virtual law firm where there is no real estate. And I thought, because it seems like people are going the other way, that people are coming back into the office. Some law firms are requiring people there 4 or 5 days a week now, 3 to 5 days a week, I would say. And I know in our own business, we've been virtual for other reasons. We have real estate construction going on, and we can't wait to get back in the office because there's something missing. There's the camaraderie, the culture a little bit. And I'm just wondering what you're all seeing about that. We'll start with Ange, and we'll go around the table. We'll ask our guest, Pam, who we'll introduce in a minute, and also TJ. What are you seeing?
Yeah, I mean, I personally have been virtual for the most part since, I hate to say it, but since the late 90s. I've had stints in offices, and so I'm kind of one of the first generation of people to do it. But we always had the office available, right? So you always had the office, just had the flexibility of being from home. And I think that you do miss some things being in the office, but I think what's super important for people today is life is too demanding, and I think the flexibility and needing to be home and to not feel like you miss a beat, to be virtual and leverage the technology. And really, if you ask me, after 30 years of being executive recruiting, I think we have to learn how to let employees be treated as adults, so know that they're going to get their work done, and and just kind of find a good way to combine it all. But I think the trend's going both directions depending on what industry you might be in and what your workforce looks like.
I appreciate your opinion, and then I'm sure there are other opinions, and also I think you're right. It does seem to be going in both ways. Pam, what's your insights into this? And we're going to talk specifically with you about virtual work, but let's talk generally about it right now.
Terrific. So I've been running, I think, as you know, I'm a real estate agent, and I've been a real estate agent my whole career. And I've been running my real estate team completely virtual for the past 4 years. And I had such a tremendous experience with it that I bought the local franchise. And I find, to Ange's point, that it's not one size fits all. There are certain industries that really embrace the full virtual model, and then there are others that are a hybrid of it. So we have some clients that have in-person admins, and then they're complemented by the virtuals, and then I feel like their productivity is just exponential in that sense. And Americans, I think, are trying to adjust to is it full virtual, or I think the hybrid model is turning out to be one of the most successful ones, because like to your point, culture is very important these days. And when you're working 100% from home, you miss that camaraderie, the synergy. So I think there's the America, like, and to your point, like I had a hard time finding a parking space this morning, which was interesting to me. At the same time, I appreciate that because I feel that we will succeed better in person and not just all virtual.
By the way, there's the issue of being stir crazy too. You know, sometimes you just need a change of environment, which is a very simple thing. TJ, what are you seeing? What do you attribute the full parking lot to? What's going on?
So when I first came here almost 3 years ago, there was nobody in the parking lot, maybe like, I don't know, 50 cars. And then as time went on, now that people are coming back to the office, like upstairs and downstairs, parking lots become more and more, congested.
There's got to be at least 500 cars out there.
Oh,
today,
yeah.
I would think. You know?
I mean, on a Friday morning, if I'm coming in at like 6 a.m., the lot's still full. I'm thinking, why are people here so early? Like, it's annoying, to be honest, because if I have to come in later or earlier, it's never ending. There's too many cars.
Well, welcome back to real life. That's so. Anyway, well, appreciate all your thoughts on that. Let's introduce Pam. So this is Pam Butera. Pam has had a very successful real estate career. In fact, comes from a real estate family. Both her dad and her grandfather were in real estate in the Montgomery County, I think, Philadelphia area. And since the pandemic, as she mentioned, since it began, she's been working with her real estate team virtually and continues that successfully. But about 3 years ago, she came across an opportunity, and she bought into the Greater Philly Cyberbacker franchise, which is a virtual administration company. So she actually got into the business that's helping her in her own main business. And she's been running her business, as she said, completely virtual, and she's having a great experience working with it. But now, and this is really what we're going to spend a lot of time talking about, she has 125 clients in the Greater Philly area, and they're growing every day. So welcome, Pam, officially.
Thank you.
So tell us a little bit about, we always like to hear the story of the founders, like how you got, how you grew up in the real estate business, how you got to this point, and
Sure.
what you like about what you're starting to do now.
Yes. So my father and grandfather were both realtors, so I was around it my whole life. So it was just natural to go into real estate. And interesting fact, my mother was my in-person assistant for 18 years.
That's great. Interesting.
So, and my brother is in the mortgage industry, so I'm around it all the time. And it's kind of in my DNA.
Was your mother, was that a little flip of roles in terms of, did you become the boss and to your mother? And
Oh, of course. And the funny fact is that people would say to me all the time, "You pay your mother?" She was in that office a minimum of 40 hours a week, and she really helped jumpstart my career. And who's more devoted to you than your mother, right? So I attribute a large part of my success to that.
that's great.
And I always called her mom in the office too, which it's hard after so many years to call your mom Peggy. That was her. That was her
Well,
name.
it's a family business. That's part of the sell. So I think that's rightfully due.
I agree, and it definitely attributed to my success. And be like, "Oh, that's your mother." So
I have been. That's come up a couple times recently where people call their dad Ted or whatever in the office, but then as soon as they walk out of the office, it's Dad.
Right.
So, but anyway, so everyone handles it, I guess, how they need to. But
exactly.
anyway.
So then fast forward to a couple of years ago. I found that my in-person assistant, it wasn't my mother. My mother had long since retired. I had found my in-person assistant was never getting all of her tasks completed. Because in real estate, you're putting out fires a lot. And so you have to jump to your client's needs, and working on your business gets put on the back burner. And that really frustrated me. So one of my coworkers said, "Well, you should hire a virtual admin." And I'm like, "What is that?" So that was my introduction to the VA world. So I hired this VA, only part-time, and
Is this an out of country VA?
yes,
Uh-huh.
yes,
Okay.
based in the Philippines.
Yep.
And I was astounded at how efficient they were. And my in-person admin was thrilled because now the pressure, it was relieved, right? She didn't have so much stress on her to get everything finished. Then what started to happen was my VA started to do more than my in-person admin. So then I started to think, do I need 2 admins? What if I make my part-time VA go full-time and I only have one, being the virtual? And so that's what I did 4 years ago, and it's been a huge success.
So you have one virtual assistant that helps you operate your real estate practice.
Correct.
Now. Okay, gotcha.
Correct.
So I've had some experiences I've shared with you, and I have a very good virtual assistant, Shan Estevez. So I'll call her out now, and she's in the Philippines. But it was hard getting there. I went through some not good experiences.
Yes.
With agencies and and people and getting the right people and getting the right systems in place. But once I got it, it's like the best thing I ever did. She's really doing a great job. What kind of challenges did you have in terms of that, and also in terms of when you got into the franchise business yourself? How did that go? Tell me about that.
Well, I think what I was naive about was I had a good experience with the VA right off the bat. And I just figured everyone else would grasp the concept like me, and it would be so easy to spread, to get business. And I quickly learned, this is not an easy task. I'm so surprised that people aren't grasping the idea of having an efficient admin at a fraction of the cost. People are traditional, and they're used to having an in-person admin. And so then I started to realize quickly, I'm not here to eliminate the in-person admin. I'm here to enhance your experience. And one of our clients recently, he had 4 in-person admins. He's down to 1 in person, and he just hired his second VA, who are doing the same amount of work that 4 in-person ones are doing. He's blown away by the whole concept now. He's one of our biggest advocates. So that was something, that was a learning curve for me. And it's not one size fits all, and I understand that. The other thing, too, is the Filipinos, which is where our virtuals are based. A lot of them, they're very Americanized, which is
right.
a big win. Their grammar and their English sometimes can be a little bit of a struggle. So our home-based company focuses are very strict about only hiring people that have good English and grammar. And what has really helped is AI and ChatGPT. And I've had some clients, so I've started to emphasize this in our marketing, that so your VA may not be perfect at their grammar, but they'll run it through ChatGPT, and it comes out more than perfect.
Running for writing, right?
For writing, right? Like,
but
if they are going to compose.
Doesn't work for speaking yet, probably.
Yeah, so for speaking, a lot of our VAs don't do much speaking with clients. We do have a category that you'd pay extra to get one that their grammar is excellent. Mm-hmm. So we do have a category of functionality for that, if that's what you desire.
Is another challenge I have to imagine is getting the right person for the right client.
Yes.
The fit. So how do you accomplish that?
That's a great question. So our founder, his name's Craig Goodliff. He's a big believer in matching personality style. So he designed what's called the CBPA, the Cyberbacker Personality Assessment. So each one of our virtuals takes this CBPA. And then you learn, okay, so this virtual is analytical, this one's creative. And then depending on what our client wants, like if a client wants a VA that can do social media, we will match them with a VA that's creative.
Does it always work out the first time, or do you sometimes is it trial and error with people sometimes?
No, it doesn't always work out the first time.
I had a feeling that's why.
It's like
which
any
is
kind of
just
recruiting
natural.
does it. Trust
right.
me.
And I also think that our clients, this is another learning curve that I had. So many of our clients had never had an admin ever. And that was an eye-opener to me because I've always had an admin. So So I've learned to help our clients with the hiring process. And one of the things that Cyberbacker does, if you don't get it right the first time, you can ask to, interview new ones for no charge, no extra charge.
I'll tell you one other challenge is, as I mentioned, finding the right agency. And the agencies are often based in the Philippines, and I've truthfully probably had more trouble with the agencies than I've had with the assistants. So it's good to know that you can, if you're in the United States, you can go to a United States company that can handle a lot of these things in English, but yet still have the advantage of the Filipinos that I've seen have great work ethic, and they have to work reverse hours a lot of the times, and it doesn't faze them, and it's a lot of money for them, even though it's a fraction of what we would pay. It's a lot of money for them, so they really appreciate it. So it's really a great resource that you're offering to people in an easier, I think, to manage type of environment. With that, I think it's time for a quick break, and we've got a lot more to talk about with Pam Butera in a minute.
Hey there, Philly. Feeling overwhelmed with endless tasks piling up? Meet Cyberbacker Greater Philly, your secret weapon for unstoppable productivity. With us, you get a personal assistant at the fraction of the cost. No employee benefits, no payroll taxes, just efficient, cost-effective solutions tailored to your needs. From social media management to bookkeeping, our diverse services have you covered and provide reliable support whenever you need it. Ready to revolutionize your business? Schedule your free business evaluation today and unlock the power of Cyberbacker. Visit www.virtualleveragesolutions.com now. That's www.virtualleveragesolutions.com. Don't let tasks hold you back. Thrive with Cyberbacker Greater Philly.
We are back on Founders Forum with Ange Honorado and Pam Butera. And Ange, I think you had some things you wanted to.
Yeah, so when we have these kind of conversations, I always love to kind of get in with the founder and determine, how is it that you build the culture? What is the culture of your company? How does that tie into business growth and all of that? But as you've just described before the break, your business is almost the reverse of that question, meaning you've got this assessment now for the people that you place, and this is a world close to me. It's very similar to recruiting and what I've done for many, many decades. But so the question is almost, how do you actually determine the culture of the client that you're trying to place with? Like, so what, and there's an intake, I'm certain, but, how do you go about that approach to find out, here's what they're telling you they're stressed with, but what's really going to be the best fit for them?
That's a great question. So I have a team of VAs that help me with this. And the first person that our new client would talk to is called a growth backer. And his focus is to determine what our clients' needs are. And we do that through an assessment. And I call it our job description. And we put 10 to 12 tasks on there. We don't like to do more than 10 to 12 because we feel then you're setting up your VA for failure. They can really probably only master 10 to 12 tasks. Then a couple months in, you can adjust that job description. It's not in stone. But we find that if you give us a few areas of focus, very specific areas that you want to accomplish in your business, then they can tackle that to start. And it's been very successful. And then, so after you design your job description, then our career backer comes in. And basically what she does is she's in on the conversation with learning and hearing firsthand what the client wants and what their needs are. Then her specialty is to go find the VA that's going to be appropriate and best fit the needs of our client. So like if our client wants a lot of social media, she's going to look for a VA that has a creative background. If we have a client that needs a lot of bookkeeping, then we'll look for a VA that has a good analytical background. Does that make sense?
Is that done at the franchisor level or at your level? You have these people within your group?
Yes. So they are directly report to me. They're my team, and it's just we've been together now. I guess it's like a year and a half, and we're a really well-oiled machine.
Nice.
Yeah.
Was it hard to find those people? Because that's a fit kind of job as well.
Yes. So the career. The growth backer, rather. This is my second one. I thought my first one was excellent until I met my second one. And then I was like, wow.
No offense to the first one if they're listening, right?
I know.
That sounds like that's the most critical because it's a major touch point. So not getting that right doesn't let the rest of the process take place. Yeah.
Because he's, in a sense, sort of like my salesman as well. Because they haven't already signed up when they talk to our growth backer. He kind of pushes them over the edge and gets them really hooked on it. I typically talk to them first, and I also make sure that our clients know I'm a local and very hands-on. And so that, I think, is also to your point, Mark, is that having someone local in a virtual world is not that common. And so, like, for instance, yesterday, one of my clients called me and she's like, Pam, I'm struggling with this. Can you help out? And I know exactly how to handle her issue. Mm-hmm. So, which is also then turns them into advocates for us because they're like, oh, Pam's accessible. You can physically meet her if you want. I've gone to people's offices and met with them firsthand to help them. Because what happens so often with our clients is they're virtual and they're like, oh my gosh, I thought it would take them all day to do my tasks. And they did it in half the time. What are some other tasks, Pam, that I can have them do? And I love when they call and talk to me or ask me to come to their office and sit down with them.
That's a pleasant dilemma.
Yeah. It's fantastic.
Because
It's
you're
great.
able to consult with them and help rather than selling them something. You're helping them consult and find avenues where they can be more leveraged.
Yes.
Which helps them grow and work on the business, not in the business, which is always the big goal, right?
It's the challenge. And because then it's a win-win because then their VA, they like to be busy, right? They don't like to sit around and twiddle their thumbs. And then our client is leveraging themselves and growing their business, turns them into an advocate for us. We get a tremendous amount of referrals. We have one client, she has 8 virtual admins. She doesn't have one in-person admin any longer. It's pretty amazing.
I'm thinking about your real estate practice. You have a team of other realtors,
yes.
Right? So how do they? What's your culture like on your team, given the fact that all the assistants are virtual?
So they really appreciate their efficiency as well, and they're always available for them. So I don't have like a hierarchy in that sense. That our virtual is available for them at any moment, at any given time, because their business is just as important as mine. And I think what they're always amazed by is they'll be like, Pam, do you think they can do this? I'm like, of course they can. So they love that there's no limit to what we can ask for our VAs to do.
And your team of realtors is also virtual, correct? Or do you actually meet in person and have team meetings and things like that?
No, we don't do anything in person now, and they prefer it. So we'll go to lunch, and when we talk, and we text a ton and we email a ton, and we talk like when they have issues. We have an office sales meeting once a month that we attend in person. Which it's nice to be around other fellow realtors too, to collaborate on certain things. But the real estate, especially since the pandemic, is really transitioned into a virtual industry.
So let's say you have in the old days, because I have a lot of realtor friends and I've been to some of their parties and stuff, and when they have a good year, they have a big celebration. And the assistants would be there because they're part of the team and all that. Mm-hmm. Your assistants aren't there.
Right.
In the sales meeting, do you include them virtually or do they
yes.
Do? Yeah.
Yes, we do include them. We do a lot of meetings via Zoom.
And do you send them drinks? No, I'm kidding.
Virtual happy hours. Right. I've been on many virtual happy hours.
I know.
It's important.
Yeah.
You just have the FaceTime. And I just wanted to point out real quick that Mark had mentioned earlier that the cost of living and the appreciation that I'm in other business, and we've got some virtual VAs in the Philippines, and it is one of the overarching, I think, best scenarios because not only does it help us as business owners, but man, when you feel, we've had a VA one time break down in tears and say, I've been here 3 years and you have no idea. I've retired my mom. I've put my kid through school. I mean, where else can you do grow your own business and feel philanthropic, or just that you're growing across the, the wider impact on the world. I just think it's pretty amazing.
It is pretty amazing, and I appreciate you bringing that up because, I believe Mark said earlier, their pay grade is very different than here in the United States, and it's kind of hard to wrap your head around it.
It is. Yeah.
But
I struggled with that.
I don't disagree. Yeah. And the founder of our company has built a profit sharing program that they can participate in. So now they have a retirement plan if they choose.
Wow.
They can finance a home through Cyberbacker. They can buy a car through Cyberbacker. Wow. So it's a win-win on both sides of the hemisphere, as I say.
Very interesting. We just have a few minutes left, so I know you have a vision for the future for Cyberbacker and I think for your real estate business. You want to just tell? So if we were talking and it's this date in April and it's 2027 and we're looking back on the last 3 years, what would have to happen, Pam, for you to say, hey, this was a really successful 3-year period?
Well, so I'm only one person, and like I said earlier, spreading the word
If you were more than one person, we'd be having a different conversation. I just have to say. But anyway, go ahead.
That'd be a 3-hour podcast.
Well, and that's one of my very it's at the forefront of my mind daily is to have another me on the streets, right? Pounding the streets, drumming up business. And so by 2027, I really hope to accomplish that because I know we offer such a tremendous service. And we're also expanding in all sorts of industries. Like one of our new clients is a doctor, and he is beyond thrilled because medical billing apparently is very cumbersome. I didn't really understand it. Sometimes he wasn't even billing his clients for months on end. It's unbelievable. So, and then we have a client in the city that has an event space now that is thriving because of social media that our VAs are doing. So what I'm bringing up is I want to get into as many different industries locally as I can in the 5-county area.
How many clients would you have 3 years from now? Have you thought about that?
Ideally, it'd be 350.
350. Nice.
We have 125 now. I'd like to get to 200 this year, so we'll see.
Excellent.
We'll see.
Excellent. What challenges do you find in terms of how? I guess that's one of your challenges is that you're only you.
I'm only me. Yeah. Yes.
Anything else? Or is that the main one?
So that's probably the main one. With our clients, for me personally, to touch on them on a regular basis is a struggle for me because I want them to all know they're all equally as important, and I want them all to thrive and succeed. So that's a struggle for me on a daily basis to just say, hey, I'm thinking of you. Do you need any help? What can I do to help you leverage?
So you need a second you.
I know.
So how will you do that? What's your plan for a second you?
I'm going to hire a salesperson.
Yeah, got it.
Yeah.
It sounds like salesperson / kind of caretaker, relationship manager.
Yes. Customer service is very important to me.
We're going to switch gears real quick. We have about a minute and a half left. What book are you currently reading?
Oh, Choose Your Enemies Wisely by Patrick Bet-David. I'm a big fan of his.
That sounds juicy.
It's interesting. The title is, I think, a little misleading.
Of course, right.
Yeah, it's disruptive and yeah, it sounds great.
Gets your attention though. It's good.
Yeah.
And what are your favorite books of all time?
Marcus Luttrell, The Lone Survivor. I don't know if you ever read that.
I guess not that long ago. I think
I read it and I actually saw him speak. It was pretty amazing.
He's an incredible individual. I never saw the movie because I didn't want to taint the authenticity of the book.
Yeah, I never saw it either. Yeah, the book was amazing. Yeah,
that's one of my favorite books.
And one last question, as we have less than a minute left: if you could speak to your younger self, what advice would you give you? Your second you.
My second me. I know. So, having done real estate my whole life now, I would go into a business that had residual income.
Gotcha. Well, that's a great, quick answer, and it's just in time because we thank you for being here today, Pam. It's been a great guest. Thank all of you for listening, and we look forward to seeing you next week on Founders Forum.
We hope you enjoyed your time with Founders
The
Forum
following
today.